Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of this riotous Recce Report this month. I'm your co-host, Russ, former British Army Warrant Officer.
And I'm the other co-host, Cliff, former British Army Corporal. Yes, riotous indeed. I think tonight's show is going to be a little less about Scottish independence and a lot more about present-day UK. Because unless anybody has been living in a cave up the west coast of Scotland somewhere, everybody must have been hearing about the racially inspired attempt at a coup d'etat by the far right. And the phrase coup d'etat I do not use lightly. I am absolutely convinced if the government had not, the Westminster government, not stamped down as quickly as they did by enacting measures already on the statute books, then I think we could have been in a worse situation by today. The fact we're not is because, like all coup d'etats, you really do need to get it right. Now, I know other reporters are calling them the Farage riots, and I think time will tell to see exactly what is involved in that one. But spookily enough, if you take it as the fascists and racists, all anti-democratic Gormless goons exposed, it does actually make the word Farage. But give a squaddy a name and they'll make up some really weird titles. So we have seen a very, very tragic incident happened in Southport. We have seen that incident hijacked, spun round, brutalised, and then used by thugs that are very poor imitations of the SD that used to kick about in Germany in the 1920s, 1930s. And we have seen them attack quite innocent people. This thing about they're wanting to get their country back, how could that be the case? They ransacked a Greggs. How could that be the case? They ransacked, was it the shoe zone? They ransacked an old
fake Crocs.
Yeah, fake Crocs, yeah. They couldn't even get the right ones. Yeah. Mind you, the fake Crocs go along with their fake outrage about the state of the country. They don't care about that. They just want somebody to have a riot.
Proper coup would have had petrol bombs. These mad youths had bath bombs.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yes. I mean, which makes rounding them up all the much more easier. You know, they're going to be sitting in their mother's basement, smelling rather nice. Yeah. So the old sniffer dog's going to be giving it, downstairs, boss. They're down there. I'm smelling that.
The frustrating thing for me, mate, is the amount of right-wing media reporters. And you seen it the other day, the editor of the Daily Mail, feeling ignorance of that, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Who's responsible for this? Well, you are.
Yep.
You only have to look. We've been calling out for a long time, mate, that othering of immigrants and asylum seekers, and it's the playbook of the right wing. It's not. You've not to look at the multimillionaires and the careerist politicians who've got their hand in the till, who are feathering their own nests with dodgy PPE contracts and lobbyists. It's not, mate. It's the guy that's run away from a war zone, endangered his own life and of the people he loves to get to the UK for a little bit of safety, right? But no, I think on average, £26 a week or something to live on when they're here. No, it's all their fault, mate. Don't look at the billionaires who are creaming everything off the top. You've got to blame the poor person who's scared for his life. And it's the easy thing to do. It's what populist politicians have done since time immemorial. Is they bring out glib, easy, but wrong answers to complex questions. How did we get here? We got here because people have been lied to.
Yep.
They've been lied to by people like Reform and EDL and Tommy 10 Names. That it's all about the brown people. You know, there was no riots. There was no riots in Dunblane when Thomas Hampton went on his rampage.
Yep.
You know, when white paedophiles are jailed, there's not a rampage.
There was never a call. Yeah. Sorry, Russ, carry on.
Yeah. No, yeah, and the thing is, and here's the insidious part of this, is that this horrible thing happened in Southport, and my heart goes out to the poor families. But straight away, the assumption by the right was that it was an immigrant, right? And whether it was or it wasn't, they just assumed that, and that was amplified. It was amplified by names like Katie Hopkins, Tommy 10 Names,
Andrew Tate,
and Andrew Tate, yeah, and all these people, and they leapt on it. And poor, disenfranchised, the people that feel that take our country back. It was never theirs. It was never theirs. It was always belonged to the billionaires. It was never yours, mate. It was never yours, mate, with your misspelt tattoos and your GCSE in woodwork. It was never yours.
Yeah, some of the interviews. I mean, me and you, both of us have been interviewed on the spot, i.e., not planned. Yeah, and we know that if you get a mic stuck in front of you, you have got to take a few seconds to compose yourself. Yeah, and we've seen clear evidence over the last week of people unable to do that. And the two standout moments for me was that lad when they turned around and said, yeah, we don't mind them coming over here and building mosques as long as we can go to Mecca and build mosques. Yeah, a clear indication that just because you get handed a mic, maybe you should not speak. Yeah, and the other one was the woman that was draped in the Union flag, saying that, stating that the Titanic sunk because it was overcrowded, and that's what was happening to England. It's sinking through overcrowding. I mean, she didn't have the good grace to have the Union, the flag of St. George on. She had the Union flag and quite clearly said England. And that really does irk me, as it irks a lot of people north of the border, as it does irk a lot of people in Wales and in Northern Ireland. That is a quite separate flag from the cross of St. George. But again, that is two standout people for me that maybe shouldn't have been on the streets during that, because they quite clearly don't possess the thought, the thinking ability to process why exactly they are on the street. And I've just got high praise, absolute high praise for the way the police have handled this. They have gone in and they've made it quite clear, you will face detention. We will lift you. We'll put you in front of the courts. Remember, it's not the police job to put people in jail. It's up to the courts. And of course, the backlash from the far right has not been, they hijacked a peaceful protest or whatever. Their backlash has been, what about those people over in Birmingham? Was it Manchester Airport or Birmingham Airport? That lads that kicked off against the police. They're not yet in jail. Well, that's because it's still going through due process.
It's strangely, if you turn up to court and plead guilty, you get sentenced pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And anything that's been above the ability of the first line English court, whatever that's called, it's not the sheriff court they have there, but their equivalent of the sheriff court has been referred to the Crown Court. So there will be some long term. I think there's this last count. There's something in the region of 400 people arrested. Not all of them sitting in police jails. I think a lot of them have been released on police bail, but they will have their time in court. And those people now that are in jail, they might only do a third of their sentence, but they will have a jail time.
And as somebody as somebody pointed out with the convention, you're then banned from a lot of the holiday destinations that Brits tend to go to. You're not going to get through the checkpoint with a criminal record. And then you see, obviously, you know, of Mr. Yaxley Lennon cutting around firstly in Cyprus and then in Greece, and I've heard now in Spain, people keep finding out where he is because the idiot keeps posting videos of himself in front of landmarks. He's got the shittest persec I've ever seen in my life, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah. I used to think mine was bad. Yeah,
like,
and,
oh my god! And but he's playing, and I'll tell you the funny thing here, mate. I know you said that some of the media have been calling them the Farage riots, and he's gone on the defence, and he is throwing people under the bus, left, right, and centre, and they've noticed. So you mentioned Stephen Yaxley Lennon and Andrew Tate have been actually now condemning Farage for condemning them. So you're having that kind of implosion that it generally happens when there's a failed coup.
Yes.
Where it's now the finger pointing and who's to blame, and and Farage does that a lot. You know, he does that. Oh, it's nothing to do with me, chief. You know, big boys did it and ran away. Yeah. He knew what he knows what he's doing, mate.
Oh, of course
that's what purplish politicians do. They do the dog whistles, and they'll rile up people, and they try and have that plausible deniability where they go, "No, I was just asking questions." No, you weren't, mate. We know what you were doing.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what the shape of the British political landscape is after we see the aftermath of this.
Yeah, because I think it's reined it in from the direction it was going. A couple of months ago, buddy, me and you were sitting here very worried at the state of things, both the rise and rise of Trump again, and the rise and rise of Farage and his rotten people. Now it now seems that the right wing in the UK have totally miscalled it, and this I think is quite a poignant note for Scotland, for all the people in Scotland that say we have got the mandate from the silent majority. Yeah, it's the silent majority is an unquantifiable amount, and should never be used.
But that's why they thought. That's why they came out. They came out because they've been told, these rioters and the right wing types. They've been told for so long that you are the silent majority. You've been silenced by the media, by government, by local agencies. You know, but if you rise up, and then they rose up and realised they weren't the majority at all. They were not. They were a distinctly vocal minority that has been amplified by mainstream media and the right wing press. So what they did was they shot their bolt too soon, mate. That was the problem.
And history is littered with coup d'etats that have gone off too early. And I will use that word. I'll keep using that phrase. Sorry, because that's exactly, in my humble opinion, what this last week has been about. I mean, what possible sympathy did they think they were going to get from setting fire to a building that had human beings in it?
People in it,
cowering. These people would have been cowering in those hotel rooms.
Yeah,
at what was going on. And if anybody out there has been in actual fear of their life, they'll know what I'm meaning. They will have been fearing for their lives. Because people, animals, let's not call them people, for God's sake. And this goes back to what I think, Russ, you were saying through the week there about the mentality of the pact.
Yeah, the mob rage takes over. We've all done. I think you and I both done what they call crowd control training, which is riot training with shields and batons and stuff like that. And the truth is when you have a protest that turns violent, it stops being about individuals. It becomes a mob. It absolutely does. You know, and I've seen grey-haired old grannies try and, rip coppers' throats out, who wouldn't dream of it. So these people, and I'm hoping these people, when they woke up the next day, realise the extent of their actions. And perhaps the ones that pled guilty, maybe they're the ones that did. They're the ones that said, you know what, I was wrong. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right, because you put yourself in that position to be influenced by the mob in the first place. You shouldn't have been out there. But it's a scary thing, mate. It's a scary thing because logic and rationality has no place in a mob.
Yeah. And
when you see them, lighting that hotel and dancing around like it was some big thing, like it was, the 5th of November, it's absolutely scary. We like to think, we pretend, don't we, in Scotland and the UK in general, that we are civilised, that we like a bit better. And that's part of where the problem comes from. But you just see what it's like, mate. Simple breakdown. And before you know it, we're the ones having to jump on small dinghies and bugger off to France and Iceland and Greenland and stuff like that. And then we'll see how it feels to be an immigrant.
Yeah, because it wouldn't take much to push it over. Fortunately, as I said at the top of the show there, the UK government seemed to have gotten all over it like a bad rash, which is good to see. And quite possibly was a reaction that was not anticipated. They would have been sitting there thinking, that's a new government. They're not that sure of what they're doing. So now maybe it's the time to get that wedge driven in, because they seem to think, that the majority that Labour won does not entitle them to form a government. Well, if you don't like that idea, then maybe you should form a party that gets enough votes that's going to stop the first past the post system. And bring in proportional representation. But setting wheelie bins on fires and setting hotels on fire is not going to be the way to do it. We don't have a revolutionary tradition in the UK. That 22 miles of the English Channel there has kept a lot of that away from us. I think the last time we had any sort of revolution here was Oliver Cromwell, wasn't it? In a historian.
I'm not on my history, but that was all Cavaliers, Roundheads, New Model Army, all that stuff. Yeah. As much as I know, but and it's still happening. There's a thing in Sky News either earlier today or yesterday saying it's something like 700 boats have landed on our shores in the last week.
700 people,
right? No, I'm sure it was 700 people. So I'm sure it said 700 boats. Message people, but whatever. But you're like, read the room, for God's sake. This is not the time to be reported. Even if it's true, right? Why would you fan the flames like that? Why would you say that? And the truth is, these things are happening because the Tories shut down. They're illegal immigrants. They came here illegally. Well, that's because every legal route to coming to the UK.
Yep.
Which means that anyone that turns up is by definition illegal. But, and I hate to do the cliche and point out that, that harbouring Jews in 1930s, 40s Germany was illegal as well. So just because it's illegal doesn't make it right.
No. Every single law that was passed by the Nazis was passed by a sitting government. And then they went off and had the Nuremberg trials to highlight just how wrong those bloody laws were. Just because the Tory party, whilst in power, there we go.
You're right, Cliff. You're right, Cliff. 700 people on 11 boats just been corrected by Wolf Pit. You were right. I was wrong. There's a first.
We're start of a new era. But yeah. So we are. I mean, I've been on a couple of sites today, inviting them to come on to this show, to to join in the conversation on the chat net there that we're scrolling through. I'm not one of them appeared to be interested. Certainly, I'm looking at the names there. I'm not seeing anybody pop up there. It's almost as if they don't want to engage in conversation outside of their own little bubble. And talking in a bubble, talking in a their own little bubble is always bad, because this is where they get this feeling of superiority about. This is where they get this feeling that they are the majority, and this is where innocent people, end up getting hurt.
Definitely, mate. And for those that are watching, we're broadcasting here on Independence Live. We're on the Veterans for Independence Facebook page, broadcasting live. We're on Independence Live Facebook page, broadcasting live. We're on Facebook, Veterans Facebook page, and Live Facebook page. I think we're on Twitter and possibly TikTok as well. I don't know, but that's open. Anyone can come on and make a comment. We collate the comments here. They all come through. There's no censorship. Mm-hmm. Everything comes through, and we get to see it. And if it's worth putting on, then we will address it. So we're certainly not hiding behind any anonymity here. If our names are on the screen, we're not hard to find. Yeah, we will have that conversation. And to that end, we would even, if you had a fairly decent argument, we would bring you on. We'd send you the link. You could kick up your webcam and come on and have a conversation with Cliff and I. We'll absolutely be happy to do that. But yeah, it's easier to sit in your little echo chamber and pat yourself on the back, isn't it?
Oh, so easy. And again, it's something that we are wary about, but we've been at this, we're comparatively old hands at this now, Russ. Yeah, we've been learning by our own mistakes as the years have gone in, which is why we sit here in this open forum with our real names up, and not sitting there with a mask on. And again, this is something that I picked up from the riots there. How many of those people had their faces covered? Yeah, one of the things they shout about, is in some religions, the girls kick about with the face coverings on. We don't know who's behind the mask. Yeah, and they themselves.
The best one was the guy in the ski mask and the huge Middlesbrough tattoo.
Why wear a mask?
You're like, yeah, no one's going to recognise me, mate.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to the intelligence of the people that were out there that night, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hashbury, you could say you are veterans now. Oh, mate.
Oh, well done.
Slow clap for Hashbury there, man.
Well done, Hashbury.
We'll set them up. You knock them down, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's tantamount to Hashbury getting the beer in the next time. Right. Right. Yes. So we've had these riots. The one good thing is that they seem to have petered out the closer it got to the Scottish border.
Yeah.
There was rumours. In fact, I had to alter my work schedule on Friday because there was a rumour that there was going to be something kicking off in Glasgow, and I just did not want to get anywhere near it. Now, fortunately, I've got
your man from A Force for Good rocked up in George Square there. Well, there was two of them, him and his mate. So there was two of them. He had his loudspeakers, pre-prepared speech. You couldn't even. I mean, he put it on his own Facebook. He's on YouTube, so kudos to that. But you couldn't hear what he was saying because the counter protesters were just shouting Nazi scum off our streets over everything he said. So that's pretty much what you heard. But he was allowed to say, and there was like 2 or 3 coppers keeping them apart. It wasn't like a protective line or whatever. 2 or 3 coppers. He said what he said. Took about 10 minutes and then wandered off. And you know what? That's democracy.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Democracy. It came up. The coppers did their job. They prevented any breach of the peace. He got to say what he said. Yes, he was drowned out by counter protesters, but again, that's democracy. You have a right to speak. You don't have a right to be heard.
Yep.
And off he went. So as much as I disagree with what he has to say, I've got to take my hat off to the Glaswegians and the Glasgow police in particular for letting that happen relatively peacefully.
Yeah, yeah, and those things have to happen in a functioning democracy. Yeah, if these people down in England had not rioted, if they'd just protested, fine, they're protesting. Fine, they're allowed to do that. It's the fact they didn't even go out to protest; they went out to riot. That was, I think, their go-to. They were going for this riot regardless of what happened. The police would end up being the bad people, and we're going to start attacking the police. And then they sit there thinking, well, we've just been attacked by the British police. We're the victims here. Yeah. All right, what's coming in there, Russ?
I don't know. I don't really know what you're saying, mate. I know. So it's a damn Doberman company. Scotland is 97% white. The crime up here is covers up by the police, council, and state. You guys live in bubble, lads. Mate, can you send in clear?
Yeah.
I don't have the backhoe setting, mate, for that. I have no idea what you're trying to say. I'm assuming you're saying that more crime is committed by people who are not white. Your next comment is what happened in Rotherham in the last 40 years, lads. I don't know, mate. Knuckle draggers have got more vocal, is what I would say. And you said you were what? You are. You said these ex-Scottish Dragoon guards.
Yeah.
And well done, mate. Can you remember? Ex-Scottish Dragoon guards? Brilliant. I don't know when you served, mate. I'm just wondering if, off the top of your head, you can remember. If you remember what the values and standards of the British Army are, and if you can list them without Googling, and tell me how your stance marries up with them, then maybe we can have a conversation, buddy. All right. So thank you for damned Doberman Company's comment. We really do appreciate it, mate. We do. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as you can see, like we said at the start, we are. So you're saying we're a more homogenous society in Scotland. Okay, so I'm going to apologise if I've painted you into a corner as one of the. It did come across quite aggressive. I don't mean by more homogenous, mate. I think there's. I don't think we are. I think parts of Scotland are homogenous, but I think we're quite welcoming. You walk around Glasgow and Edinburgh, any city, you see quite a great diversity amongst the population. Even further out, I mean, I live outside Glasgow, and we've got quite a diverse neighbourhood that I live in. So I don't think there's an aspect of that. I think we're more homogenous in our politics, maybe more so than England. We have dissenters, of course, but happy to have the conversation, though, buddy.
Yep. Right. Have you seen that time?
I do see the time, mate. I was taken up by the comment. I thought it was a good comment, and I'm going to apologise if I leapt to conclusions, which is something everyone should do if they get it wrong.
Absolutely.
If I got it wrong, of course.
Yeah.
But
oh, hang on, we're getting crooked.
Right. Oh no, that was it. Saying that because I said it was just McConaughey and his mate, and he was like, "What about the guy with the camera?" All right, smart arse. All right, somebody was filming.
We're going to get a yellow card system organised in here.
Yeah, you just break the fourth wall for everyone, mate. You just shatter the mystery of how things appear on the magic box.
You mean there's no there's cameras involved? Is that what that thing is?
And that's a good point. Ashbury says you can't describe a population with one word.
No.
All right. So I didn't get it wrong, according to damn Doberman. He's blood and soil. Well.
Bye.
I'm going to break my rule on here, mate. Well, you can get fucked, mate. All right.
Yeah.
By Nazi.
Yes. A true Nazi has had his chance and has been red carded. Straight off.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's a brilliant point to say we are out of time, folks.
Yes.
I'm sorry I went on a bit of a rant at the end there. After me apologised as well, and he came back and went, "No, you were quite right. What a dick."
Yeah. It does show the mentality of the blood and soil Nazis.
I gave him an out. I was like, "Oh, maybe I got that wrong then. Maybe I got that wrong." And he's like, "No, you're right. I am a Nazi." All right.
Oh,
I mean,
Monty Python couldn't write a
hats
script.
off to you for coming
Oh
out
no,
of
I'm
the
not
shadows,
giving him
mate.
anything for that. The scum at the bottom of a pond I have more appreciation for than the Nazis. Right. Anyway, folks, we have come to the end of our monthly ramble.
We have.
What next month will bring us, I have no idea.
A nice quiet one, please, everyone.
Yeah. We felt it necessary to devote this one towards the what was going on with the right wing, because remember, it only takes a few good people to remain silent for these arseholes to gain leverage. All right, so let's not remain silent. Let's get them out in the light. Let's expose them to sunlight, because they won't like it. Let's ram their statements back down their throats, because they'll sit there trying to twist history.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to two old soldiers ramble nonsense for 30 minutes. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much for all your comments and the interactions. We absolutely love that. It makes the show. You make the show. Please tune in again. We'll be back on the second Monday of next month. Don't make me do sums and work out when that is. Look up your calendars. In the meantime, look after each other and take care. Any last words, Cliff?
Yeah, remember, folks, the future is still bright for us. The future is bright. Independence is right.
Sarah Alba. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.